Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of TLC Tech Time. Hope everybody's having a great week and a great Friday. My name is Erin French, and I am an instructional designer in the Teaching and Learning Center.
My name is Jay Rosema. I am also an instructional designer in the TLC Center. I'm excited to see everybody joining us today.
And we'd also like to extend a welcome to those of you who are joining us on the recording. So why don't we go ahead and get started today? We will be recording the first part of this TLC Tech Time episode that includes information about Canvas in 5 and about our Tech Time tour, which is a demo of a Canvas feature. We will stop recording before we move on to the Tech Time talk, so everyone who's joining us here live today has a safe space to answer our discussion questions and to ask questions of your own. I also want to note that if you participate in the TLC's Level Up Certificate program, attending TLC Tech Time can help you to earn credits for Level 2 technology. Each 30-minute episode is worth half a credit, and you can earn those credits by attending live or by watching the recording and then self-reporting through our Qualtrics form. So I mentioned the first part of today is about Canvas in 5, and this is a new feature that the TLC launched in January. In 5 minutes or less, we will help you to quickly learn about a tip, trick, or feature in Canvas. Before attending TLC Tech Time each month, we recommend that you watch that month's Canvas in 5, because during TLC Tech Time, we're going to expand upon what was presented in the Canvas in 5 video. However, this is certainly not required, and you are welcome to watch Canvas in 5 anytime you have a spare 5 minutes. The March Canvas in 5 topic was ePortfolios, which are digital collections that allow students to showcase their learning and achievements over time. They can include multimedia elements like text, images, videos, and links, providing a comprehensive view of their progress and skills. Often used for assessments or career development, Canvas ePortfolios serve as a personal and professional reflection tool for students. In addition, you can also use them to reflect on your teaching, research, and professional development. If you have not had an opportunity to check out Canvas in 5 yet, or you can't quite remember how to access those monthly episodes, I'm going to show you how now. So if you just give me a moment, I will share my screen. All right, and I am here with you on the homepage of the TLC Learning Channel, which is our YouTube channel. And I'm going to drop this link in the chat, so you can always follow along with me that way as well. And the TLC Learning Channel is a repository for all of our recorded content. So I encourage you to check out more than just the Canvas in 5 videos that I'm going to show you how to access today. When you arrive at the TLC Learning Channel, from that link that's in the Zoom chat, you'll be here on the Home tab. To easily locate the Canvas in 5 and TLC Tech Time playlist, click on the Playlist tab. And then all you have to do is scan along until you find it. Here it is, the second one over, and we'll click on View the Full Playlist. So you can see that we have all of our content that has been presented so far, and that includes our introduction to Canvas in 5 and Tech Time video, the Canvas in 5s for January, February, and March, as well as the TLC Tech Time recordings for January and February. And the March recording will be there a little bit later this afternoon. Now I'm going to turn it over to Jay for this month's Tech Time tour.
Thanks, Erin. I'm excited about this. So one thing that we really want students to value is the role of mistakes in their learning. And yet we operate in a system that does not incentivize mistakes. So how do we reconcile this tension? Learning portfolios are one of the most effective means in doing so. And John Zubizarreta wrote, In the learning portfolio, students assume responsibility for documenting and interpreting their own learning. Through reflection, students make their thinking visible. Students address their mistakes, their successes, and growth in a learning portfolio. So you might be asking, what is a learning portfolio and how does it work? For a portfolio, the students are provided standards, and the student must demonstrate how they meet the standard with evidence. And standards may vary depending upon the purpose of the portfolio. The portfolio may be asking them to show how they meet the program's core competencies, or how it meets a course's learning objectives. You can also use the learning portfolio for your own teaching portfolio. The idea behind it is that students collect evidence from their learning experiences. This may be assignments, it may be activities, it may be writing, discussions, whatever. And then they explain how this evidence shows them meeting the standard. And one of the key aspects of a learning portfolio is their reflection. The students write about their experiences with the activities and how their learning has benefited. The disconnect between their mistakes and how the system works becomes visible in this reflective narrative. And Canvas has the ePortfolio feature to help with this. So let me share my screen and I will show you what I'm talking about. In Canvas, the ePortfolio does not live in the dashboard because it's going to pull from every aspect of the student's courses. So it actually lives under the account section. So if they click on account, they will find ePortfolios there. And as you click on the ePortfolio, you will see where I've got 2 portfolios here. A student or you may have as many ePortfolios as you would like or as you need. And you can create an ePortfolio by simply clicking on the plus create an ePortfolio button. Let's look at the Tech Time Dental ePortfolio. Just going to make a disclaimer. I'm not a dental student. I'm not a dentist. So I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. When you get to this place, this is the portfolio overview page. And there are several things on this page that I want to point out to you. The first one is this link right here. This link provides anybody within the ATSU Canvas system, if you've got a Canvas account, you'll be able to get into this portfolio through this link. So students would simply share this link with whoever they need to see the portfolio. The second thing I want to point out is download the contents as a zip file. This allows the student to actually export their ePortfolio and be able to share it with anyone, anywhere, by any means. And then the recent submissions would show up to any new submissions in this portfolio. So let's look at the actual ePortfolio. So in this portfolio, you will see that there is an initial page. And this page has links to several sections. And it has pages over here. So the way I've set this up is that I am showing how I am meeting the competencies for the dental pre-doctoral program. And I'm going off of their competencies in these nine standards. You'll notice that I have matched these standards over here in each section. So as I go into a section, I will show how I meet that competency. So let's look at professionalism. So as I look at the professionalism section, you'll notice that there are a lot more pages over here on the right, because I've set this up to where I am showing how I would meet the CODA standards that align with the competencies of our pre-doctoral dental program. These are standards 210, 211, 217, and 221. And I have set those up as pages over here on the right. So you can see in the ePortfolio, it's really set up as if you were doing a paper portfolio in a 3-ring binder. The sections over here are the big tabs that break each section of the portfolio down. And then the pages are the smaller tabs breaking each section into pieces. So we work off that same idea. Now, you may have noticed that when I went to this page, I got these little 3-dot menus over here on the right. And this allows us to reorganize or make changes. This is just an editing feature. So I can, if I click on one, I can rename it, I can move it, or I can delete it. So this is flexible and can be changed as I work along. I can add a new section at any time, or I can add a page at any time. And if I go into settings, I can change the entire name of the portfolio, but I can also do this. I can make it public. And when I make it public, that means it's capable of going out to everybody in the system. I don't have to use that link anymore. All I have to say is, hey, go see my portfolio, and people will be able to get into it. So that's a decision, personal decision. Is it public? Is it not? So let's look at this section in a little more detail. I've got like an opening introduction to what they will see. This can be expanded in the writing, or this may not be. It may be a simple introduction. But if I go into section 210, critical thinking, you'll see that I've got a lot more information here about how I am meeting this standard. And I am saying that in course 1, 2, 3, 4, I've got an online discussion where we discussed critical thinking, and I explain what to look for. And then I do this with 2 other assignments. But then I provide a link to those. I can insert a link to that discussion. I can insert a link to that case study or to that process that we analyzed. And if you look at this page in more detail, let's edit this page. You'll notice that the page looks like any other page in Canvas, except it is a series of building blocks. It's not one big page, it's building blocks. So you'll notice these dotted lines around each block. So I can put in rich text content, and I can put in an image. I can put in just about anything, as Aaron described earlier. So in this case, this is just rich text that you put in just like anywhere else, with the exception of I cannot insert an image here. I cannot insert a document here. So there are some limitations to how this page or this rich text editor works. I can put in equations. I can put in a table. I can even embed or put in an external link. So otherwise, it's the same as any other rich text editor. I can do bullet points, I can indent, I can bold, etc. If I want to add an image, that gets its own block. And to do that, you click on the image file upload. So you'll notice it's image file, which means I could upload a PDF file or a graphic file. I don't have to do just an image. I can upload just about any kind of file that I want, maybe even a Word file or an Excel, but I think PDFs are better. After I add what I need to, and I want to link to the evidence, I, as an instructional designer in the TLC, I don't have assignments that I did in other courses, which means when I add a course submission, I have no submissions to be found. Otherwise, I would have shown you actual submissions. But that's what a student would do. They would say, I want in class 1, 2, 3, 4, the discussion. They would click course submission, and they would find that submission in this box. They'd click to it. What Canvas does is puts a link from this portfolio to the course that the assignment or the submission is in, and it gives you, the portfolio viewer, access as if you are that student. So you do not see other students' comments or grades or anything else. You only see what the student would see, which is really nice because you can see what the professor said about the submission or see what the feedback was, because that may be just as telling about meeting a standard as the actual submission. So the student can actually link to any kind of assignment or activity in any course they have available to them in this ePortfolio. That's their evidence. You can also add an HTML or an embedded content. So let's say the student has a video out there on YouTube, they can embed that video on YouTube or on their Drive or wherever it may be. So if they have a video of them working with a patient in a clinical setting, they may be able to upload that video here. When the student is done, they click save, and that page is saved as if it's one big long document, but it's really different building blocks. At the bottom of each page, you can have comments. And this is where somebody viewing the portfolio can come in and add their own comments or feedback to the portfolio. And this one's set up to where anybody can add a comment. And you type your comment in here, add comment, and it'll show up. You do have a choice. Do other reviewers see these comments, or does only the student see these comments? The student can make that choice, and there's an option to do that. In the last page of this section, I have the reflection, and this is maybe where the reflective narrative goes. It can also go at the top. It can go anywhere in this. But you can see that they can add their own reflective writing, which connects their activity in the class with whatever standard they're trying to meet. So I think that is the bulk of what an ePortfolio is. So I am going to stop sharing my screen, and we can ask whatever questions we have.